Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Quarterly Podcast. I'm Jordan and I'm here with my co-host Vinay.
Hello, Muji.
We are coming to you from the Nest studio and it's an absolute pleasure to be back, Vinny boy. Guys, I want to thank you all for your support so far. We streamed to TikTok, Spotify, YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, I think we're on there too. I'm losing count of all the social media platforms we're on, Muji. I think you've done a really good job there.
Oh, mate, it's been awesome so far. So I just want to thank everyone for your support. Please like and subscribe our video and follow along for the rest of the season. We've just covered, we just finished round 1.
Oh, wowie.
I tell you what, it's a hell of a round, Vinny.
It feels like footy has really started now, Muji boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels as though this is when the season has begun. And I tell you what, there's already been a couple of pear-shaped sort of things. A couple of my preseason predictions are being rolled up into a ball and jammed right up my nether regions by the footballing gods. And I'll have a lot to say about that. But I suppose the first thing I want to get off the top of my dome, because it's really been bugging me. All right, Muji boy?
I could feel that about you this morning.
Yeah,
there was something just annoying you a little bit.
I was just staring out the window for a few hours, unable to really put it. But the Essendon Football Club, now...
Straight into it, eh?
Yeah, straight into it. That's right. No forewarning either. They got pantsed by Hawthorn. Now, to be fair, I don't think anyone tipped Essendon. I will put my hand up and say that prior to the game, I had this sudden instinct to believe that Essendon might make a game of it. And they swiftly proved me very, very wrong. And my question is, where are the Bombers actually going? I know that preseason you had them as your smoky to finish last. And we did talk about the fact that they are one of these middle teams. They refuse to bottom out. They refuse to max out. They're happy just living in the middle zone. You know, they're like Switzerland in World War II. So
in the neutral zone at the minute.
In the neutral zone, you know? And so I want to know from your perspective, where to for Switzerland and Essendon?
Switzerland, I'm not so sure. But look, mate, with the Bombers, you're 100% correct. They're in no man's land. I'm not too sure what the thinking is myself. Look, in the current day and age of footy, AFL footy, there's a lot of teams. It's very difficult to build yourself up to a premiership list. You almost need to bottom out at some stage to be able to do that. The Bombers, a lot of their fans will say they have bottomed out, and they've been bad. They've been down towards the bottom, but they haven't completely bottomed out. They've still sort of hung on to guys like Merritt, which we spoke about. I mean, potentially they trade Merritt away, get a couple of first-round picks. To me, that seems like the perfect decision to make right now.
Yep.
It's either that or you think that you're in a premiership window and you are trying to win now with Zach Merritt. Sure. And so that was a strange decision, that one. Look, I think they got a lot of talent, the Bombers, a lot of kids. But just nowhere near sort of the talent levels. Might be sort of similar age demographic and that to some other teams.
Well, here's the crazy thing. I mean, I initially thought, all right, well, Hawthorn's got a bit more experience. They're a bit tough around the edges. But Hawthorn's team on Friday night, on average, was only 10 games more experienced than Essendon's team. Only 10. That's it. We're talking basically just under half a season. That's all they had in terms of actual experiential edge. Yep. And that's when you consider that they do have somebody like Jack Gunston in that team that's going to blow out that figure by a fair bit, right? That's going to skew it. So,
Sicily down back who's in his
he'd be well over his, that really baffled me.
That's very concerning if you're an Essendon fan, absolutely. Because if you're looking at that stat and you're saying, oh, you know, we're on average, we're two years younger than the Hawks, you know, so we've got a bit of room to improve over the next couple of years. You can sort of rest easy a little bit at night thinking, you know, it might be okay. But that's a very concerning stat. What about the games played? Is that a stat that you're aware of?
Well, that's the games played. So the games played was that Essendon, on average, had 10 fewer games played in the team.
Yep.
Age-wise, they're only 0.25 younger. That's it. So they weren't 2 years or even 1 year younger. It was just 0.25. That was it. So they weren't remarkably younger either. And that's something that should be cause for concern. I thought their ruck situation was a real problem.
Yeah.
I think Meek and Reeves made absolute mincemeat of him.
Toyed with him.
It was, and I know that Lockie Blackiston, he was trying. You could see that he played as a ruck when he played in the waffle. And he's not a bad size. He's over 200 centimetres. He's got a good vertical leap on him. But, oh, man, I think with these new ruck rules, you probably can't afford to be experimenting too much in the middle of the ground. And it just wasn't it. Having Peter Wright as your second ruckman, the man can barely play as a second forward, let alone as a second ruckman.
I think in the current day and age as well, you almost need to go to the well and go to the free agents market and pick up some experienced players to be able to help these young kids along. It feels like the Bombers don't really have, I know they got Zach Merritt sort of in the midfield, but in terms of just experience on the list, it feels like they're lacking that. And sometimes you need that, even if it's just on the training track, whether it was like a Tom Mitchell, maybe you go pick up Tom Mitchell and just have him on the list to be there at training and be able to sort of help these young kids along, show them what it's like to be a Brownlow medalist, show them what it's like to be a premiership player. And to me, it just feels like they don't have that, the Bombers. It's the sort of the blind leading the blind at the minute.
Yep.
And the concern for Brad Scott is that the club haven't exactly come out and said that they're in a rebuild phase. They haven't exactly come out and said they're in a premiership window. They've just sort of left him in limbo. And if it gets to the point where they're sort of, 0-10, 1-12 or something like that on the season, poor Scotty might be left up the old creek without a paddle, I reckon.
I think so. And a lot of concerns. And that's from an organisational perspective. But from an actual gameplay perspective, after that first quarter, they looked absolutely listless.
Yep.
They just looked... They weren't chasing. They weren't running very hard. They weren't doing the basic things that you expect against a Hawthorn side that were just able to really dictate, to be honest. And you had to I felt for the Essendon defenders because it was coming in thick and quick. Ben Mackay, I actually thought he played an okay game. He was intercepting. He was defending quite dowly. But nobody can, not even Harris Andrews, not Stephen Silvani, they can't do anything if the ball's coming in that fast. No. And you're turning the ball over where Essendon were turning it over, which was centre forward. So, their defenders are being given very little help, and it's a young backline.
Yeah. It's going to be. This is the Essendon Footy Club, and that's what we forget. If you flick through any footy archives, any sort of history, they're a proud club, Vinny boy.
They're proud.
They are a proud club that have won a lot of premierships, and it has been a long drought. I know it gets spoken about every year, but gee whiz, it's been a long drought. Last time they were top six?
2002.
That's bloody good off the top of the dome.
No,
100%.
Yeah, top of the dome. That's right. Yeah.
But no, 100%. Like that's a long time, Vin. That's a long time. We're talking James Hird was,
we're talking Britney Spears. That's what we're talking.
100%. So I'm not sure where they are, the Bombers, and it'll be very interesting to see sort of where they go. I think what I would like is for the club to come out publicly and at least let the fans know what they expect.
Yep.
Where are they? What do they expect?
Fair call.
Because, especially as a coach or a fan, you want to know where you are.
Yep.
How long are we? Because if they come out and say, we're still 5 to 10 years off a flag, at least you can brace yourself for that.
Yeah, true. Wow.
And I reckon they are.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I agree.
I think at least 5 years before we see a competitive Essendon side.
Hard words, but probably fair, Mudgy boy. And
I was just going to say as well, just the bigger you see it in the NFL and the NBA, but the more teams that are in the competition, the more watered down the talent gets on each list. So it is hard to build a list in this current day and age in the AFL, and it's only going to get harder as Tasmania and stuff come through the system.
Yeah. Isn't that timely? No, well, look, I think they've got a lot of work ahead of them. Now, the Giants are another sort of team. Now, they're in a very different state to Essendon, to be fair to them. Mm-hmm. They got absolutely pantsed by the Bulldogs, who they've now lost, I think, 9 of their last 10 games to, which is becoming a very, very one-sided rivalry in quotation marks, because I don't know if you can call that a rivalry at this point. But the Giants, I mean, they're missing a lot of talent, let's be fair. Yep. Josh Kelly, Tom Green, Darcy Jones, Aaron Cadman, Brent Daniels. I'm probably missing a few more there. Sam Taylor, All-Australian defender. So
a lot of outs at the minute.
A lot of outs. Okay, we'll give them that. We'll give them that. And their depth is really being looked at here under a microscope. And I think that their depth probably isn't quite there yet.
How deep do you think they go? So how many injuries until that you start to sort of get a couple of players in there that you don't think are up to AFL standard?
I'd probably say about 4 or 5, really. I know that they've got about 9 injuries.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think it's okay, yeah. I mean, I just think that they're in their best 22. They're probably already carrying a couple of players who are sort of just about at the mark. Just about. So once these injuries open up in key positions, they're really starting to hurt. Now, Bulldogs are not a team that you want to play when you're lacking a bit of experience and nous, because they will go to town on you, and they did, you know. The decision not to tag Bontempelli, interesting. He just did as he pleased. Had one of the best games so far this year. Not saying much, but still. Yeah. And Adam Kingsley after the game just said that he felt that midfield was disappointing. Yeah. But look, we said that we think they would make their charge late. Mm-hmm. Still plenty of time for that. But, it's never a good sign when you lose by 83 points to a fellow flag contender.
Yeah, it's very true. That's a big difference. Look, I think last year was at Brisbane, lost the first 5 games of the season, went on to win the premiership. I think Hawthorn the year before lost the first 5, or made the was it the prelim final, or maybe just short of that.
That's right. Yep.
So look, there's not time to hit the panic button just yet for the Giants. But I agree that is a big difference. I think for them, they just want to be seeing glimpses, preferably out of guys that you're not going to rely on so much to play the big roles later in the year, but you want to know that they can come in and play those, those bottom 6 sort of players.
Yep.
They're the ones that you want to make sure that they're at least ticking the boxes. So, I don't think Kingsley will be hitting the panic button just yet. But there are definitely some concerns for the old Giants down there.
Certainly. And speaking of coaches, now Justin Longmuir is someone that you put the torch on in the preseason. And I tell you what, oh boy, the Freo Dockers were up by about 40 points.
Jesus.
They'd kicked 8 goals to quarter time. They looked home and hosed for all it's worth, Woodgie boy. And the Cats, as they're known to do, reeled them in and ran away with the win.
Yeah.
And there were some bizarre scenes. Hayden Young, who was one of the best players on the ground in the first half, was marooned at full forward for the entire fourth quarter. He was standing there with nothing to do but twirl his hair. Credit to the Cats for fighting back and clawing back. That's what they do. Jeremy Cameron was insanely good. But what's going on with the Purple Haze, Mudgy boy?
Oh, boy. Well, look, I have had, unfortunately, some negative comments to say about their head man down there so far. I think I said something along the lines of, I think he's they're too nice a club, Freo. They're too scared to put the foot down, put the foot on the throat, and get the job done, get the win, and get out of there. It's a hostile environment down there at the old Cattery, and again, they just couldn't quite get it done. They couldn't finish the job, and that's not going to win finals footy. The Cats, if there's any time that you're going to beat them down at the Cattery, it was probably that game.
Yep.
And they weren't able to finish it off. Tactically, does he hit the panic button a little bit? Maybe he does. It's starting to feel that way a little bit. With their list, Freo, what more do you want in the current day and age? They're really not missing, I guess, too many pieces when you're thinking about a premiership sort of contending team. They've got good depth, got good youth, good experience, a lot of talent. So, look, I'm a little bit concerned about the Freo Dockers. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, it is concerning. It's a game they really should have iced, to be perfectly fair, and they didn't. And it's a long trip back from Geelong to Perth. But look, Freo, I still think they'll figure. That first half they played was brilliant. When they were on, they looked really good. They were actually moving the ball quickly. Guys like Murphy Reid, their decision making is so far beyond their years.
Yeah.
And Josh Tracy, he looked so much more dangerous, if that was possible, when the ball was coming in quick.
Yeah.
So hopefully they stick to that and we see them bounce back.
Was it the ball movement? Did it slow down in the second half?
Absolutely.
Was it credit to the Cats, do you think, though?
Yeah,
or was
certainly.
it,
No, I think the Cats did really well.
They adjusted.
They adapted, and I think their effort was much higher. They also played with the confidence of a team that knows we're not actually that far off here.
Yeah.
All right? The scoreboard might say we're 35 points down, but we just need to make a few tweaks here and there and then do it consistently for an hour and we'll win this game. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah. Freo sort of ummed and ahed and panicked a bit and weren't sure when to go and when to not go. Yeah. And that showed. Yep. It looked like an experienced team that is used to winning from all positions against a team that's still finding their feet in that respect.
Yep. And that's what happens. When you're used to winning, you'll find a way to win. Correct. And when you're used to losing and sort of getting right to the sort of the end and falling away, that's what will happen. So it's really difficult to get over that speed bump and be able to, or that barrier, and be able to turn yourself into a team that, we now win these games.
Yep.
And I think, you see that with good sides all the time. They find a way to get the job done, and that's what the Cats did. Yep. It's a difficult place to play down there in Geelong, very difficult. So I think there's a lot of positives for them to take out of it. But again, I'm very concerned about, I guess, the bravery and the lack of fearlessness from the Freo Dockers. We need to see a bit more. They need to be brave, like we spoke about a few weeks ago, if they're going to win a premiership or go close.
Yep. No, I can't disagree with any of that, Mudgy boy. Now, speaking of premierships, the Lions are winless, my friend. We are 2 weeks in, and the boys from Brisbane town, I mean, they did this last year, right? They lost their first 5 and then went on to win the flag.
True.
So I doubt Chris Fagan's pulling out too much of his hair, but I mean, you did say that the Swans would do them.
Yep.
I tipped the Lions, and to be perfectly honest, I thought they would put up more of a fight than they did. Mm-hmm. They looked really limp. I think Nick Blakey kicked a goal within the first minute, and it was just an avalanche.
They looked flat.
They looked flat as a tack.
Yeah.
They just did not look like the Brisbane team that showed up and wanted to really compete.
I think last year, if you think about, they lost the first 5 games last year, the Lions, but what I noticed last year was that the hunger seemed to still be there. And watching the game the other night, was the hunger still there? That's probably the question.
Boy.
I know it's early, and I know they lost the first 5 games last year. No need to hit the panic button and all that sort of stuff. I understand that, but you can't replace the hunger if it's not there. That's the key. If the hunger's there, but we're premiership hangover, we missed a bit of preseason, we've got some injuries, we'll come good later and whatever. That's fine, and they probably will. But once you're missing that ingredient, you might have some young kids that are like, I want to play in a premiership, I want to win 2, I want to win 3. But if some of the older guys are like, ready just to take the foot off the pedal and notch here, there's a lot of other teams that are extremely hungry. Hawthorn and the Sydney Giants, the Suns, Adelaide. So there's a lot of teams. If you can't be missing that element.
No, and credit to the Swans, they were absolutely exceptional.
Yeah.
They looked so dangerous and so committed to their style.
Yep.
And, coming out of the game, Errol Goulden, news is that he's done a shoulder, might need surgery, which is horrible news, if so, because
it didn't look good, the incident.
It didn't look good, no. And, we know how important he is to that Sydney side. But I'll be honest, I think the Swans, I think they're much better placed this time than they were last time when Goulden was out last year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it'll have an impact, of course,
Yeah.
but I don't expect Sydney to suddenly start changing the way they play or anything like that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you get injuries. They're in pretty good shape apart from him now, I think.
Yeah.
So
I'll be honest, like when you've got a very good, very strong side, if you lose a player, Goulden's an absolute superstar and he's very important to that side, but they would much rather him be ready for that sort of final 6 weeks of footy coming into the grand final at the end of the year than now.
Yep.
And people will say, but you've got to win enough games to finish top 4. I think they've got enough quality to be able to win these games. They're going to play games in Sydney anyway.
Yep.
Their wins, they're going to win some away games. They've got too much talent. They're improved, like you say, on last year. So they're definitely not going to be stressing. And I'd be telling Errol just to get on this slab, get yourself fixed up, and then maybe take a little holiday and come back in.
Kick the feet up.
Yeah, kick the feet up for a bit, get yourself fit, and come back for a charge towards the end of the year. So it could actually be a positive. Yep. Better than him doing his knee in a month's time or something.
Very good point. So, very, very good point. They're red hot to start Sydney, 2-0. And Charlie Kerner wasn't even a factor.
Yeah.
And that's what's shocking to me.
Well, I think we spoke about it last week where Charlie's now just not a regular player, he's a very good player, but he's more of just a role player.
Yep.
He's got other guys that can help him out. He doesn't have to be that beacon, that guy who's just going to go back and, I've got to kick 6 or otherwise we lose.
Yep.
It's up to me and Cripper in the midfield.
Yep.
But now he's just a player and he's loving it. It's like a batsman, who averages 50, being able to just come in and bat at sort of 5 or 6 now.
Yep. Just express himself.
Yeah, just express yourself, swing the willow, and hopefully the top order and the rest of the team can get the job done anyway. So, you can see a big smile on his face at the minute.
Yep.
And
he's loving it.
Gee whiz, he's going to be a dangerous player. And you saw that with Jeremy Cameron when he went to the Cats as well.
Yep.
He went from having to dominate games at the Giants to going to Geelong and thinking, this is all right.
Tom Hawkins and Tyson Stengel. And
And if I drop it, we've got Brad Close and Myers over there and Dangerfield's coming down and every now and then, I'll just kick 7.
Yep.
All good.
Still can't express himself. That's right. Yeah.
So, Charlie, he'd be very happy at the moment.
He'd be very happy. Well. And I'll tell you who else is very, very happy. A certain producer of ours who was singing the North Melbourne theme song on repeat for the last 6 hours coming into this because the chorus is loud. They shit slammed the Port Adelaide Football Club. Absolutely shit slammed them. And I say that because Port Adelaide looked like they could win for maybe a quarter. And then from that point on, it was just north.
Oh.
And I'll be honest, did I think they were going to shit the bed at some point and get, reeled in by Port? Yes, I did.
Yep.
I did think that. But they didn't. They held strong. They stuck to their game plan. And unlike the North that we saw last year, they didn't, wet themselves and allow a certain win to be stolen. So plenty to be happy about. I will say that Port Adelaide, and it should be noted, they did have a very inexperienced team.
Yeah.
Jack Watkins on debut, Jack Whitlock, who is, I think playing like his 5th or 6th game, very, very early in his career. Joe Berry, another one who's very, very young.
And let's not forget they had their new coach coaching his first official game as well. So,
yeah, Ewan McKinley, another one who's a young fella. Ollie Lord's pretty young. So, look, Port, in their defence, they didn't exactly roll out, a team that we've been used to seeing.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, they look pretty average. Jason Horne-Francis in his first game back at Marvel since joining Port, he was getting boos left, right, and centre. And I tell you what, his performance did little, if anything.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be starting forward. I'll just say it here. I really think he should be a starting midfielder. I can understand what Josh Carr's trying to do, isolating him in the goal square, that Dustin Martin blueprint, that Christian Petrarca blueprint. Yeah. But he has to be on ball, I reckon. He 100%. Just has to be. He is your rollicking, bullocking sort of,
Well, he's been in the system, 5 years now, Horne-Francis?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's time for him to literally, he's the man now. He's the man there. The baton's been passed. This is now his team. I know he's got Butters and Rosie and Ollie Wines, few Wines out at the minute, but a couple of guys there that have got more experience than him. But it's time for him to, take the bull by the horns, and he's the man in there. And I think even for his own confidence, he's the sort of guy, you got to get the ball in his hands early.
Yep.
If he is sort of sitting up forward and he's struggling, he might drop one off the chest early, his confidence just seems to dip.
So true, yep.
Whereas if he gets the first one out of the middle and he's charging and he hits someone, early in the game, Horny's up and about.
He
is up and about, the big fella. So, I think that's a bit of an error, but new coach, trying some things. Hopefully they can iron that out. But I'll tell you what, the Kangas, they look good.
They look very good.
We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago where we said there's basically two options. Either they improve under Clarkson or they're killed in the car park.
Yep. They either die or they improve.
That's right. We're seeing that improvement. And I'm pretty bullish on the Kangas. I actually think that they're going to improve quite a lot this year. And it was good to see Larky up there as well. Just a beautiful kick of the footy if you can get that proper delivery to him. And they're looking.
I'll be honest, one thing I'll note about the Kangas, I don't think I've ever seen such a disparity between the best ball users and the worst ball users in the same 22 as I have with the Kangaroos.
Yep.
You have got utter class in Harry Sheasel, Colby McKercher.
Yep.
As soon as they get the ball, you're like, don't even worry about it. But then you've got guys like Luke McDonald or Griffin Logue or Charlie Comben sometimes, who they get the ball and you're just like, oh, dear sweet, help me. This is going to be...
This could go anywhere.
This could go. If I was the hot dog vendor in row 2 of level 3, I'd be shielding the hot dogs, to put it one way. So, but you know what? They did their job. They'll face much harder tasks than Port Adelaide, especially this Port Adelaide side.
Yeah.
But look, a good result's a good result, and we have to pat Clarko and the boys on the back for that.
100%. And to be honest, they play Marvel Stadium quite well, to be honest. So I think that's already going to give them a few wins this season. I know they play there every year, but they do play that stadium very well. Yep. So, I'm expecting pretty big improvement from the Kangas, and it was good to see them start the season like that.
Exceptional, Mudgy boy. And now, one thing that I do want to raise are some unsung heroes. Now, we often talk about players that don't get their, just desserts? No way, that might be a bad thing. Just desserts is kind of like implying. They're plaudits.
Yeah.
And this segment is about applauding them and giving them the plaudits.
Okay.
Now, there are a couple of names. Firstly, Maurice Rioli. I love this man. I love him. I just want to hug him.
Sometimes you just randomly say Maurice Rioli.
Maurice Rioli. That's right.
What are you talking about, Vin?
That's right. Maurice.
I love him.
Yeah, I love him. I tell you what, I think that he's one of the best players in the game when he doesn't have the ball. So if there was some sort of stat to measure the impact a player has without the ball, I would have Maurice right up the top there because he is genuinely like a manic sort of kamikaze, rabies-infested sort of dingo when he doesn't have the ball. You can see him foaming at the mouth. He's just like, he's just, as soon as somebody has the ball, he's not just tackling them, he's jumping on them. All right? And if the ball goes, he goes with it.
Yep.
He goes, there's the ball. And I love that about him because we talk a lot about forward half pressure. And oh my God, by the time Maurice retires, his highlight reel is just going to be exclusively him, basically just at the neck of players, just rabbit dogging all these unsuspecting sort of vermin. So Morris is the first one. Wayne Miller is my second one from the Adelaide Football Club.
Yeah.
I love this, man. It's a theme with all the players that I'm mentioning here. I love them. Now, Wayne Miller, I tell you what, he is such a classy user of the ball. I've always felt that Adelaide should be using him in a far more aggressive role than what they do. He started his career as a top pick. I think it was pick 13 or 14, very high pick. Kept getting injured. Couldn't get any consistency. Had to sort of play that proper defensive role. Now it looks like they're actually using him in a more aggressive, hey, where's Wayne? Give him the ball. And I love it because I think he's the best ball user in that team and one of the best in the AFL. He is class personified. His ability to get through traffic, change the angles, which in my opinion is a true definition of a good ball user, not just somebody that can hit a target 30 meters away in front of them, but change the angles. Be running one way and then hit a target that's, 45 degrees off the line.
Especially in the modern day. In the modern game, that's so crucial. When you see it with Nick Dacos, just being able to get it off the side of the boot, change the angle up, because so many teams train and practice to what they expect it to happen, obviously, expect the ball to go. If you're able just to change it by a degree or a couple of degrees, it can really change the game. And you see it with premiership teams, even Richmond, through their 3 premierships there. What they were so good at was being able to take the ball inside 50 at different angles and have all these small forwards, the mosquito fleet, so to speak, coming out at different angles. And, Adelaide at the time in 2017, looking around, don't know where to look. So that's a really good call, Ben. Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of Wayne Miller, and I strongly suggest everyone watches him and watches him closely because he does some special things. Very special things.
I'm definitely going to tune in this week and just keep an eye. Might have just a camera to set on him. I can
just
follow
the Miller
him around.
cam, the Miller cam, and the Maurice.
Wouldn't
cam.
that be cool if you could do that on TV? You could just choose a player and you could just follow them around.
Another good thing would be if you could mute the commentary, but just hear the crowd noises. Like just the crowd and the umpires, but no commentary. So you don't have to listen to because I only have a few brain cells left for Jack Riewoldt to murder, and they're very afraid.
What about if you had, because in America they usually have the 2 radio stations from each state or whatever doing it. You could change to,
don't mind that.
I want the Gold Coast Suns commentators. Actually I want the West Coast Eagles commentators.
Wouldn't mind that.
If they're still there, the West Coast
Eagles.
Eagles.
I think they ran out of volunteers for those roles, I think, unfortunately.
Wait, so is that a new category that we're doing? What was?
The unsung hero. And I've just sung about them. So there you go. They're the sung heroes now, Mudgy boy.
And it means a hell of a lot coming from the quarterly, I'll tell you.
I tell you what, not often you get that shout out from us.
I love that. I reckon if I had to go an unsung hero, someone's just come to mind, and this is more a career sort of unsung hero rather than just this week or whatever. I'm going to say Brodie Myercheck.
Love it.
I know at Collingwood, he was definitely an unsung hero. Just threw the body. Firstly, came from the VFL, won a premiership there, came into the AFL system, mature age, and just played such a crucial role for the Pies. I know it was definitely been spoken about amongst Collingwood fans and stuff, but he was so important. And I think in Collingwood's games, especially against Adelaide the other day, you can already feel his absence. Brodie, just being able to get up there, throw the body through a pack and clear the path for Jamie Elliott and co. And you're just not seeing that with the other tools that are down there. But more so on this year, he's come across to Melbourne and they have pulled off a hell of a victory against St Kilda. And Jakey Van Ruin's gone up there and kicked 6 goals, which is incredible from the young fella.
Exceptional.
But I reckon that Brodie Myercheck's playing a massive role for Jacob up there and just helping him, even at training. And Brodie still walked away kicking 3 and threw the body around. So very, very impressive. And he's unsung hero in my mind.
That's an excellent unsung hero, Mudgy boy. Very, very good. Brodie Myercheck. I love that from you. And you've touched on a very, very important thing there. And that is that St Kilda has lost to Melbourne. And Melbourne, I tell you what, the inexperience on their list in this game, you're looking at kids like Windsor, Lindsay, Blake Howes, Harvey Langford, Latrell Pickett in his first game. There are kids all over the park for the Demons.
New coach, first game.
New coach in his first game, and St Kilda's had a game in the books. They've literally had a game. They've played. They've got some run in the legs.
They should have won.
They've played. They're not having to travel. They played in Melbourne and they're staying in Melbourne. And you heard Justin Longmuir talk about how that opening round game is actually an advantage for teams. They get to play it because they've got some run in the legs and they've got know what to expect.
Absolutely.
Well, it was apparently a disadvantage for St Kilda because they got pantsed by Melbourne in the fourth quarter. And I tell you what, I tipped St Kilda to be my big risers. Yeah. And you know what, I'm not going to change or go too far from that position after two games. But, man, I tell you what, you cannot be losing to Melbourne in round one of the year. That is sensational. You got Wangan and Miller, Flanders, De Koning. What more do they really want or need, Mudgy boy?
This football team, Vinny, I sometimes, sometimes in life sometimes in life you sort of scratch your head and you're thinking, like, how am I in this situation? Yep. You know what I mean? This isn't ideal. This isn't the best thing right now. Sometimes I look at myself and I think, thank God I'm not a St Kilda supporter. Yep. Because they always find new ways just to shock me about how bad they are they just cannot find a way to succeed. No. It's as simple as that. Ross Lyon, what coach, I'm actually not even sure this has ever happened, but what coach has ever been at a club, been there for the whole rebuild, got them to a grand final, lost, walked down on them, went to Freo when they were about to peak, lost again, and then they've decided to rehire him and get him back, throw the whole checkbook at the free agency, try and win it again, and now they've lost to Melbourne, who arguably are going to finish bottom four.
Yep.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can either look at this as, wow, Melbourne are actually very good, or you can look at it as St Kilda have absolutely, fucked it. And Melbourne, I mean, I don't think they're going to be very good. I think it's an excellent win. Yep. Great for Stephen King and co. But, oh boy, as you rightly say, Mudge, what more could Ross Lyon have asked for this off-season? Yep. He's installed all his best mates as his assistant coaches, his list manager. He's literally had everything his own way. Yep. So tell you what, it's round one. So I guess we'll keep our powder dry for the moment. But I tell you what, St Kilda, they really, really need to start winning games, Mudgy boy, and that starts this week with the Giants.
It'll be interesting with Ross Lyon and how he handles this, because he's more from that, I guess, older echelon of coaches where you punish teams and you punish players when they're not performing.
That's right.
But I think we may have touched on this a few weeks ago, but in the current day and age, with the youth being what it is these days, sometimes that approach won't work. So I almost think he needs to just take the pressure off all the boys, maybe take them out for a dinner, go down the beach, enjoy yourselves. I don't know, take that approach and just see if they can stick with positivity to try and bounce back the Saints. Because if they get into a spiral of negativity here, pressure will mount. When you're paying guys a lot of money, pressure gets onto them and it can sort of stew and manifest amongst the group. It can have a really negative impact. And these days, if you do fall behind the eight ball, I know we've seen some teams lose the first 5 games and stuff like that and build momentum, but you don't want to be sort of 0-3, 0-4.
Can't fall too far behind, can you?
No, and especially good teams know how to find ways to win games. And at the moment, I'm going to say the Saints aren't quite in that category.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, they are certainly up against it this week. Big game against the Giants in New South Wales as well at NG. And I guess that's as good as opportunity as any to sort of transition into what we're looking at this week, Mudgy boy. And
Absolutely.
Thursday night, we've got an absolute humdinger. It's Hawthorn and the Swans, which is going to be an absolute, that's incredible. This is the divisions of 2012.
That's prelim final this year. We're seeing a preview of it right now.
Bang.
That's what's going to happen.
There's your snippet.
Mate, that's going to be an absolute humdinger. It's at the MCG.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be very interesting. So Sydney, they've come out of the blocks hard. They're playing really good footy. Now they've got to travel to the MCG. It's a different kettle of fish. It's a bigger ground.
Yep.
And Hawthorn, I think they played well against the Bombers last week for their standards.
Yep.
I'm not sure if their foot was sort of pedal to the metal.
Yep.
But I expect they're going to improve. And I'm actually going to back the Hawks to get the job done if I was to pick a winner in this one.
Yep.
I really do rate Hawthorn. I think they're just going to improve as time goes on. So
I think you're in red hot form, Mudgy boy, with the tipping. And so I'd be a stupid man to go against that. I think that the fact that it's at the MCG makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And Hawthorn did urinate all over Essendon.
Yeah.
That will give them a lot of confidence. And I don't think they actually used that much energy to do it either.
Yeah.
So neither did the Swans when they thrashed the Lions. But I think Hawthorn's going to really, really start to hum now, especially if they get a few players back. But
it's important for the Swans to find not that you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. I know the grand finals at the MCG, but you do want to start to take some research and some pointers out of playing at these grounds when you don't get to play there all the time.
Yep.
Because later in the season you're going to need to work out how to win a game there.
Yep.
Or maybe a couple of games. So I think for the Swans, even if they do go down, they just want to at least take away some good points and some good tips about what they're going to do later in the season.
Absolutely. So that'll be a big game there on Thursday night. The Kennedy-McGlynn Cup, I've decided to call it. Josh Kennedy and Ben McGlynn.
I like that.
Two real, both premiership players, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Benny McGlynn might have missed out.
Oh, poor Benny.
I reckon he may have been dropped for the 2012 flag. I don't know if he played.
Not Benny.
Yeah, and I reckon he played all year as well.
Yeah, that's a real sort of kick in the pants, that one.
It was.
Yeah. All right. Well, sorry, Benny. But,
pretty good with the golf club, though, I heard off the track.
All right. Not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't have it all. Come on, Benny.
He played AFL. It's good enough.
Yeah. All right, on to Friday night. It'll be the Crows and the Dogs. The Crows will try to crow at them, and the Dogs will undoubtedly bark at them. Woof, woof. So who wins the battle of the Crow and the Dog? I think it'll be an exceptional game. It's at Adelaide Oval. So I'm curious to hear what you think about this, Mudgy boy.
Mate, this is another finals preview already. I'm going early on it, but I think these two teams are right up there this year. And it's going to be good. The Dogs, mate, they are playing some fantastic footy at the moment. I think there's a lot of punters, supporters and stuff sort of jumping on the bandwagon now, saying the Dogs are going to be right up there. I agree. I think they will. The concern that I have is I think they've almost come out playing too good a footy, too early. But you definitely take it as a Dogs fan for now. But they're playing fantastic footy, mate. I guess you just look at them and where can they improve? That's probably the question I'm asking. And at the moment, it doesn't look like anywhere. But it'll be a massive test against Adelaide on Friday night. So can you see any? Where are they? Where's their weak points? The Dogs at the minute.
Well, I was gonna say their defense, but I've actually been really impressed with their defense. I mean, they held Gold Coast. They held GWS to a very low score.
Yeah. Especially in that last quarter, they were able to sort of clamp the vice and
100%. And guys like Buku Karmas, they're playing well beyond their years. Like you watch Buku, he's actually quite a cluey defender. He's got very, very good traits, and they've got a good mix back there. I mean, Michael Selwood's come in.
Playing well.
He's played well. He's done his job. Lockie Jakes looks like he's a real talent. I don't know. And James O'Donnell, he only just played his 50th game, but he's already, taking on some pretty big assignments in terms of forwards. So, I don't know that they have a weakness, to be honest, with the Dogs.
Is that in Melbourne, that game? Or it's
at the Crowery, I believe. It's at the Nest. Not this Nest, the other Nest in Adelaide.
That is a really hard game to pick. I don't know where to go. Who would you tip on that?
It's a tough one. Look, I'm going to go with the Crows because it's at home for them.
Yeah.
And we know that the Crows know how to do it in the regular season, minor premiers last year.
Yep.
We also know that they are very, very good at home. That's a hostile environment down there at West Lakes.
Absolutely.
Adelaide Oval is in West Lakes, but it's a difficult environment to succeed in.
Yep.
And I think the Crows are primed. That was a very impressive win against the Magwoods.
Yeah, it was. They played well. I'm going to stick with that as well. I think Adelaide can get the job done, but I don't think a loss is necessarily a bad thing for the Dogs either. I think sometimes you need a bit of feedback. You need to see where your weaknesses is, and especially I think that's a finals game that's going to come later in the year. So, I think even if they lose, even if they can take some some pointers out of that, might not be a bad thing for the Dogs. Keep them hungry and keep them hunting. So, I'll go for the Crows.
Absolutely. Yep. Sounds good.
It's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a great game.
Yep.
And I can't actually think of a player that's played for both Adelaide and the Bulldogs. So that's something for the viewers out there to let us know.
Please let us know in the comments.
Leave it in the comments, guys. And whoever gives us the rarest one, you get a thumbs up. So for whatever that's worth. All right, Mudgy boy, we're moving on, and it'll be the Tigers and the Suns right here in beautiful Melbourne.
Crikey.
That'll be, that's probably a reasonable response.
Yep.
I think the Suns are probably going to make a mess of them. Yep. They did what they needed to do against the Eagles.
Mate, that has 22,000 people at the MCG written all over it, and I'm telling you, it's going to be rocking. It's going to be absolutely rocking, mate.
If they give free tickets away, they may be able to get to that number.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I tell you what, they better be hoping that some of the Suns boys have big families, because they could be really looking at a low attendance there. But I don't think we would. We have too much to think about there, do we, Mudge? I mean, you're the oracle, so to speak. Do you foresee an upset there?
Oh, look, I've been lucky with the tipping so far, Vinny. But look, the Tigers, they're going to put up a fight. They're, like you said, I think you said last week, they play hard, the young kids. They play hard. Yep. And Richmond, they actually got a lot of impressive young kids, mate. But the Suns, they're just primed. They're absolutely just primed. I think they'll be a little disappointed that they probably didn't bury the Eagles a little bit more, maybe. Yep. Maybe the foot came off the pedal a bit. But I think the Suns are going to get the job done there, mate. And I'll tell you what, if they don't, it'll be a huge, huge effort from the Tigs.
I think so. Damien Hardwick against his old club finally gets them at the MCG and not Marvel, I think. I think. I could be wrong here, but that should be pretty one-way traffic.
Yep.
Alrighty, the Giants and the Saints. Now, two clubs coming off a loss. The Saints coming off 2 losses in a row. Ross Lyon licking his wounds, studying the data, probably bickering with journalists. It's all going very badly wrong for the Saints. They need to win this, but Kingsley's men are no walk-up, mate.
No, absolutely. And look, Ross loves it. He loves back against the wall sort of stuff. This is when the real Ross Lyon sort of comes out and he still sort of grits the teeth a little bit and just gets really into it. I think the Saints are going to put up a hell of a fight, mate. I really do. But the Giants, they're a good side. We haven't quite seen them hit their straps, and I think the Giants will get the win there. And the Saints will be scratching their head heading into next week, which will be very alarming.
Well, I agree. I think the Giants are a good bounce-back team as well.
Yep.
They do take pride in their performances.
Yep.
The Saints, not to say that the Saints don't, but they just look a little lost to me right now.
Yeah.
They just look a little lost. They looked fine in round 1 against Collingwood. They created plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
And then against Melbourne, it just all went wrong. So, look, I think it'll be a very close game, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Saints pulled it off there. But I think the Giants are the safer bet, even with all their injuries.
Yep. No, absolutely. Yep.
Alrighty, now over to Western Australia, my friend, where the Dockers and the Demons will lock horns, and this will be an interesting one. The Colin Sylvia Cup, may he rest in peace, will be a really hotly contested one. And
the Jeffrey Farmer Cup.
The Jeffrey Farmer, that's it. Oh, that's lovely.
He was a gun.
The Wizard.
What a
the
gun.
Wizard Cup. He was an absolute superstar, let me tell you. But tell you what, the Demons are 1-0. The Dockers are 0-1.
Well, if you're looking at this game last week, I mean, you're penciling it in, are you? You're penciling in the purple haze to get the win. But I tell you what, 120 points they've just put on the board, the Ds, and Latrell, your boy,
Latrell,
kicking goal of the year already.
My boy Latrell, I tell you what, this man is excitement defined. He is. If you put him and Maurice in the same team, I may cease to exist. Because that is just dangerous.
Yeah.
But I agree, yes. The Demons have got some exciting players.
Mate, they're and it's a tough one to pick because, like we said, the Dockers, they've been anything but convincing for quite a while in my view. But I think I think the Dockers get the job done, mate. To be honest with you,
I think you're right. Yeah. They're going to be a hard proposition.
They are, and they played well in Geelong. You know, the Cats are a good side. Yep. We said before it's a tough place to win. Dockers bounce back here, and D's will go 1-1.
Fair enough. I think that's a very, very fair call. We are now heading to South Australia. Gee, we're really getting a tour of the country here, Mudgy boy.
Absolutely.
I wish we actually were, but Port Adelaide will face Essendon, and this will be a battle of two teams who were pretty miserable in round 1. The Angus Monfries Cup.
Just about to say it.
Is what I've decided to christen it.
Yep.
But I guess you could also go with the Gavin Wanganeen Cup. Wanger. Hey, Gav Wang. Did Damien Hardwick play for Port Adelaide?
Yeah, he did.
The Damien Hardwick. There you go.
Yeah.
Tell you what, there's a rich history.
In fact, he may have won a flag at both.
There you go.
The old Harders. So
there's a rich history there.
Absolutely. You crossing the bloodlines there, but what do you think in this one? It's going to be pretty. I think it'll actually be a pretty good game, mate.
I think so. I mean,
where else would you want to be on a Sunday?
I can think of a few places, but look, I think it'll be a good game in the sense that we'll get to see a lot of young talent all in the same game. Okay. Port Adelaide just have to win this game, I think, at home in front of their fans, who will be expecting a lot more. Port fans generally, want the world. So I think they will be demanding a bounce back after a pretty disappointing loss.
Yeah.
And I think they'll get it. I would love to see Horn Francis start in the middle. And I would love for Port Adelaide to be a bit more enterprising. Zach Butters, I wasn't impressed with the way he played against the Kangaroos. He looked like a man with one foot out the door. And I hate to say it, but it's true. He did not look like the Zach Butters that we know.
Are you breaking a story here in round 1 or going into round 2 that you think Zach Butters might be on the way out of that football club?
I think he's gone. Based on that performance and his body language. Now, I don't proclaim to be a body language expert. Or maybe I do. I do proclaim to be a body language expert.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. And based on my expertise...
Talk us through it.
Well, I just think his body language really exuded the air of a man who was absent. And I think currently he's mentally absent. But I tell you, after this season, he'll be physically absent as well from Alberton because he does not look like he's interested. He doesn't look interested. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll come out this week against the Bombers and put 35 and 12 tackles and 2 goals on him. But I tell you what, as a West Coast player, I know what body language looks like when somebody doesn't want to be playing.
I was about to say, if anyone would know, West Coast fans would know.
Subject matter expertise, my friend. And I think Zach Butters, he's going to be spreading himself in Victoria later this year.
And to be honest, if he does get 35 touches and kick a couple of goals, it might look good come contract time.
I think it'll look very good.
You've heard it here first on the quarterly, if you don't mind.
That's right. And all the more reason to have Horn Francis in the guts, I think.
Yep.
Roll the kid through there.
100%. I think Power are going to win it, and I think our boy Horny's going to kick 3 and have a big game in the midfield.
Horny boy.
Pull the socks up, brother. Here we go.
Pull the socks up, tuck the shirt in, get amongst it. Very good, Mudge. Now off to the West. We're going to see a real sort of a real blockbuster game to finish the round out. It'll be my Eagles and T's Roos.
Yeah,
and
you love playing last game of the season, last game of the week every week, don't you?
We do. We're very comfortable with that time slot. And I'll tell you what, it'll see a pair of Dersmas face off, Zane and Willem. That'll be interesting. So maybe we can call it the Dersma Cup, even though they haven't really crossed over. I think a better one would be the Drew Petrie Cup.
Oh, I like that.
Yep. Big Drew,
absolutely.
The boxing kangaroo. Well, look, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Mudge. I think the Eagles looked at one point like they were going to be absolutely bent over and given a stage 3 examination by the Suns. But as it happened, they managed to put up a little bit of a fight, even got a bit of a run on.
Sort of wriggled their way out of the hospital and ran home in the robe, half undone, didn't they?
Sort of half naked. Yeah, that's right. Just blood coming out of the melon. But yeah, look, I think they'll put up a fight. I think West Coast, honestly, the young players want to win. They don't buy this, we're the Eagles, we've won 13 games in 4 years tag. They go in going, we're different players. The players that lost the games last year, the year before, they're not us, is the way they're looking at things. And when you got guys like Liam Baker coming back, very important player for the West Coast
Absolutely.
Eagles. I think
co-captain this year.
Co-captain if you don't bloody mind. I think they're a chance. I don't know how the Roos will handle favoritism. It's something that they're not very accustomed to. And tell you what, mate, I think the Eagles could pull off an upset here.
Wow, that would be massive. And look, wouldn't that be huge just for the Eagles to get the job done? And I think that there might be a little tension between the producer and yourself.
I watched the last game with him where we lost, and he definitely reminded me about it.
Okay. So, look, I'd love to see that, to be honest, even just for the betterment of the competition, mate. I'd love to see the Eagles start to they played pretty well against the Suns from all reports. I haven't seen all the highlights or the whole game, but put up a pretty good fight. But I think the Roos, like I said earlier, I think they're going to improve a fair bit this year, and I think they're going to be difficult to beat, even for West Coast at prime time on Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to go the Roos. But again, we just want to see some more development from the Eagles, and I think there's some good things to come.
Fair enough.
I hope.
Yeah, look, based on your tipping form, I've pretty much given up hope now that you've tipped the Roos, but let's hope. Let's hope, my friend. All right, well, that takes us out of round 2.
That's
because we know that the rest of the teams have got a bye. So your boys, Collingwood, will get to kick the feet up.
Put the feet up, yep.
The Blues will get to kick the feet up, as will the Swans, and one other team that I'm missing. But
Carlton have had the feet up for a few weeks already, but yeah.
Very, very fair point. But I tell you what, before we sign out, Mudgy boy, I've got a big dog of the week for you.
This is our new segment that we invented last week.
That's right. The big dog.
Who you got?
Well, it's Chris Scott. And look, I'll be honest, I haven't been the biggest praiser of Geelong this preseason. If anything, I've been pretty hard on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what, they were down by a lot at quarter time. They had a very miserable first quarter. Now, Chris Scott absolutely rinsed them. And from all reports, according to Max Holmes, according to other Geelong players, he was as angry or as firm, was the word they used, as they've ever seen him. Ever seen him, Mudgy boy.
And he's played he's been there in a lot of big games.
He's been, 100%. And we know what Chris Scott was like as a player. You more than anyone sitting in the front row at those grand finals back in 02 and 03.
How can I forget?
How can you forget? Going around belting people. So we know exactly the brand of justice. And mate, he got them ready. He galvanized them. He reminded them that, we're here to win. We're not just making up the numbers this year. You're playing in front of your home crowd. You got to give them something to cheer for. And it worked.
And it wasn't just the players that copped it.
No.
It went direct to some of the assistant coaches, Nathan Buckley being one of them.
I heard about this. How about that?
I mean, last year he's on Channel 7 sitting on the couch, and now he's getting baked by a guy who beat him in a couple of grand finals.
That's right.
I love Bucks, and it's hard to see a man through that. But look, it's for the betterment of the club, I guess, and the result was to follow.
That's right. And you know what? To pull in and spray a group of incredibly talented footballers, premiership winners, then pull aside and spray a grand final coach, you have to be a pretty big dog to do that. Yep. And I think that's exactly what Chris Scott was.
Absolutely.
So woof woof to you, Chris. Well done.
Yeah. And that just shows, that shows why year in, year out, he's able to, I guess, bring wins, be successful. He just knows when to pull those levers, and that was one of those times.
Spot on.
So love that, mate. Love that.
Spot on.
And following on from that, we've got the Small Cat Award. Hopefully we can play Small Cat Award, mate.
Small Cat of the Week. The opposite of the Big Dog of the Week, by the way.
It's not every, I'm an optimist. I've said that before. I'm an optimist.
You're an optimist.
It's not every day that you can give the Small Cat Award to somebody who's had 9 shots on goal in an AFL match.
Oh, no.
It's a hell of an effort.
No, Morge.
But when you're only kicking 2 of them through the middle, Tom, please. 2 goals, 7 he kicks. And the issue for me is the set shots. Tom, how long do you need to be in the system? How many times do you need to be at training? How many times do you need to practice set shot training? It just seems like it's so much a mental game for him. And once he misses a couple or whatever, he just sort of struggles. But to kick 2 goals, 7, Tom, you got to be better than that, mate. I'm going to give you the Small Cat Award.
Wow. Well, I think that's a very, very good call, Mudge, because he was pretty ill-disciplined as well.
Yep.
And there were a lot of Tiger fans that were very irritated by that because he's been known to let his temper get away from him at times. Yep. And that was a very winnable game for Richmond.
Yep.
And, 2-7. That's tough.
Yep. It's never pleasant, mate. I don't think I gave the old Small Cat Award last week, but unfortunately I had to pull the trigger this week.
Well, meow to you, Tom.
Yeah. So
that's it.
Good luck with that one, Tommy.
All righty. Well, that just about wraps us up, Mudgy boy, on a big round of football.
Been a hell of a couple of weeks, mate, and really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to next week.
I think it'll be a massive week, and I think there's going to be a fair few headlines to come. Scott Pendlebury, we didn't touch on him, but I tell you what, he could be suspended for the first time in his career.
21 years.
21 years.
Rumour is that he's going to receive a 1-week suspension.
Correct.
But we'll see how that pans out, whether or not it be appealed. But yeah.
We will indeed. Well, thank you for joining us, guys. It has been an absolute pleasure. And we have been coming live to you from the Nest studio. Well, not live, I suppose, but we've been coming to you from the Nest studio. And we just want to remind you to make sure that you hit like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok. We are coming to you through all those channels. So thank you very much. Have a great week. Woof, woof.